Hall of Fame results are in. Let's talk about that. Folks, welcome to the Baseball Brewhaha. Hall of Fame voting has commenced. It's ended. And we've got 3 new inductees. Adam, can you name them?
I sure can. We've got Billy Wagner, CC Sabathia, and hometown hero Ichiro Suzuki.
Somebody's hometown. Well, I guess we grew up in Washington.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Is that what we're talking about?
Mariners fans, hometown hero.
Yeah.
If this is your first time tuning in, we're Mariner fans. Seattle Mariners, that is.
Yeah, I got the Kingdom shirt. See, this Ichiro never played in the Kingdom.
That's a fact.
That's unfortunate. That's maybe. Is it unfortunate? Oh, Adam, hot take. Is it unfortunate that Ichiro never played in the Kingdom?
I think it depends who you are. For us, probably.
Yeah.
But Ichiro was also like a new era. T-Mobile Park, which was then Safeco Field, brought on sort of a new era of Mariners baseball. It was almost fitting that he came in right about that time and ushered in sort of the new era of Mariners baseball.
Yeah, that jives. I'm good with that. I don't know. I don't know that I would have loved to see Ichiro on turf, like getting injured and whatnot. I don't know. It's not the best. It's not the best. So, Adam, I want to hear your thoughts on sort of just Hall of Fame. I feel like I have unpopular takes maybe on Hall of Fame. I think sometimes I just feel annoyed by it. Can Adam take me down a journey? What is your Hall of Fame? How do you feel about it? Just generally. You can go any road. You can go the voting road. You can go I don't know. What are your feelings about it?
I like the Hall of Fame. I like the historic nature of it. I think it's a great honor for players. I do think that it's been watered down a bit, and just recently, and a little bit overanalyze analytics.
Okay, so when you say watered down, do you mean like the quality of the inductees, or what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I'm talking about.
so let's name some names.
Okay, well, I might have to go back and look at some, but top of mind, Billy Wagner.
Okay.
Yeah, great closer, legendary Hall of Fame level closer. No, not to me.
Yeah. The stats, he's top, whatever in most save categories.
Okay.
Is it? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was having this thought, and not so. The difficulty is that you do have to go sort of. You got to incorporate some new school stuff, some old school stuff. Try to your best to compare eras.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm having a hard time with is that, and maybe it's just because I look back on it now, but I feel like at the time when we were growing up and watching players play in the 90s, I could look at guys and be like, that guy's a Hall of Famer, or or
Mm-hmm.
something close to that. Maybe I'm just I don't know, but I mean, obviously, like a Griffey, Ripken, Von Rodriguez, Frank Thomas, like even some guys that aren't in because of controversial issues like Clemens, Bonds, A Rod, Rafael Palmeiro. So I feel like there are guys that I could look at and just I could fairly definitively say like I'm confident that guy's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because I'm older. Maybe it's I stepped. I didn't. My fandom took a break for a while. I look at the guys next year. None of them, to me, are Hall of Famers. So,
Not Felix, hometown guy.
um, I, I mean, it's tough because I watched Felix more than the others, and he was really stinking good for a good, like a solid amount of time. I,
Do you think
yeah.
he is punished um, by having played in Seattle at a time when the Mariners were so bad?
Well, I think that I mean I certainly think that doesn't help, and I think also the fact because like dude struck out almost 2,600 batters. I was looking at his like he had a relatively short career, but had a lot of strikeouts. So he didn't get to the 3,000 milestone, which is probably would have put him in had he got there. He's not going to. He doesn't have a ton of wins. His wins above replacement has, WAR has become sort of a stat that people will use to compare, which is a little irritating. It's not a perfect stat. So I think so. I think, yeah, I mean, that it plays in for sure. For sure. I think his drop off was too quick, too. I think that hurt him. He
Yeah.
couldn't remake himself to be even like serviceable. I mean, I think if he could have been 5 more years as like just average to a little bit above average pitcher, that would have helped him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling conflicted, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can help a brother out here, because in some ways, so we have the voting comes around every year. I get generally annoyed. I'm just throw it
Mm-hmm.
out there with the discourse, um, because it's the same stupid thing every year.
Uh-huh.
I mean, am I wrong or am I wrong?
Well,
Am I
what
right?
explain what you mean by the same thing? The same thing.
The old head voters don't vote correctly and they don't vote for enough people. And Ichiro wasn't unanimous and he should have been unanimous, which I think he should have been unanimous. But it's the same thing every year. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying I don't say that as somebody who thinks that the conversation shouldn't be had. I think I'm tired of it. And maybe it's because I don't care enough. Um, and it's interesting. I had a Twitter exchange actually with Jeff Fry, former Major League Baseball player,
Oh, all right.
and I kind of made this comment. I had heard some conversation from actually like Buster Olney and others about them. He's a big haul guy. He wants more people in, which okay, fine, as long as it's reasonable. And he's very pro like Bonds, Clemens, those guy, A Rod
Mm-hmm.
getting in. So I made a comment about that, and Jeff Fry made a great point. He basically said, "Look, um, he's not saying he should have been Hall of Famer by any stretch, but But he's basically saying like, look, those guys by what they did affected, and not just those guys. They kind of headlined the thing, but like the steroid era robbed some of the other players who played clean from advancing their careers, making it out of the minors, all these different things. And as an outsider, I don't know what that's like. I don't know. I mean, certainly I can identify with somebody cheated to get ahead, and it um, affected me in some way. It didn't allow me to make progress if somebody else cheated. Um, so I get that part of it. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm just annoyed with the discourse every year. I'm not saying it's like I'm conflicted because I can see it's broken, but we say the same things every year. Every year.
Yeah. Well, this has also come along with, and I don't remember which came first, and maybe kind of came around the same time, but the voters, the writers who vote, releasing their ballots and starting to explain why and making that more public. I was
Uh-huh.
listening. I was listening to someone who votes for the NFL Hall of Fame, and he was talking about some of the differences in the process that made a lot of sense as to why the baseball one might feel annoying or difficult
Mm-hmm.
uh, in these types of situations, especially when you have like, why did someone not vote for Ichiro Suzuki?
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about that for the NFL, they have only 49 voters, not 400.
Yeah. Okay.
And those 49 meet in a central location and they talk together and come to consensus together
Mm.
about who gets moved forward and who gets voted. And that process is not made public, but everyone who votes and who is part of that process and decision making process is on board with the players who move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And his comment about baseball was like, you can't do that with 400 writers to get them all in one place and to come to some sort of consensus.
Mm-hmm.
And so you end up with this process as it is, where everyone literally does their own thing.
Yeah. Yes.
And there is no metric. There's no
Yeah.
benchmark for
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the steroid era, the
Mm-hmm.
home run benchmark gone, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the 3,000 hits benchmark gone,
Mm-hmm.
unless like, especially, you know, with the steroid players. So, so then what's the benchmark? And that I think is part of the frustration is,
Well, and even and it's like pitching is a great example of those benchmarks. Are the old ones are useless.
yeah,
300 wins was like the number, and if you didn't get 300 wins, you better have 3,000 strikeouts and a bunch of other stuff. But 300 wins ain't happening. Sorry.
no,
uh, 3,000 strikeouts. I mean, Verlander and Scherzer are there. Um, but there just aren't. There's not going to be that many guys because the game is different, and this is why, like a Billy Wagner, for example, like we watched him in pitch, he was really good. Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know, but closers are critical to the game, the way it's played right now, and he was one of the best statistically, even if kind of the eye test would say like he was really good. Hall of Famer? I don't know. I also I think like designated hitter is one that fall. This one feels a little bit interesting to me because you had like a couple, maybe a handful of guys that really excelled at being at the designated hitter position, if you want to call it that. And some people might say, oh, it's just a hitter, he's not an outfielder, and all that kind of thing. Look, you got hit. And Edgar Martinez, David Ortiz, Harold Baines was good. Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know about that. But it's like we had a designated hitter era, and now, like, if that era's going away, if it isn't already gone, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
the designated hitter is just a spot where you stuff a guy who needs an off day and is maybe good.
Hmm. Yeah. Or you might have, you're trying to prolong a guy's career because he can't really play the field, or defensive liability type of situation, and keep their bat in the lineup. But again, it's like the designated hitter is similar to closer, where you're sort of doing one thing really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so players
Yeah.
can and should be rewarded for that, and where it gets a little bit kind of funky for me is they, like, voters are adjusting sort of what's the criteria for Hall of Fame um, vote on their ballot,
Mm-hmm.
and then they adjust that. And so, what about the players who are not from this era, who would have met whatever new criteria is in their brain?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, I think that's just one of the big challenges is it feels subjective for an honor that, like,
Mm-hmm.
seems like it it should raise to the level of, like, you really know this guy is, like, no doubt Hall of Famer, and you got to have
Mm-hmm.
benchmarks for that. You can't just have 400 people like, yeah, why not? Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I certainly can understand why the benchmarks are hard because different eras are, they're different. And I, I kind of agree. I tend to agree with you. Like, I feel like, and it's the hard thing. Everybody has their own kind of view of what players were like and how they, and sometimes even like their interactions with the media sort of taint their view of that player and how good they actually were and that kind of thing. But like to me, there are some key benchmarks. But like here's one, for example, like Craig Biggio, 3,000 hits. Like in my mind, like you get 3,000 hits, you're a Hall of Famer. Though, like Craig Biggio, like I don't know, like he's not one of those guys where you watched him, you're like, gosh, that guy's a Hall of Famer. Like he was
Hmm.
really, he's like a Billy Wagner.
Yeah.
He was good, and he was good for a long time, and he plodded along, and he did certain parts of the game that were really well, but like he wasn't Griffey or Frank Thomas or Cal Ripken or like
Yeah.
he wasn't those guys. So um,
Hmm.
I certainly I don't have any argument with Craig Biggio being in the Hall, but like I don't know. There's these things sometimes that are. This is why the benchmarks are hard because you watch Craig Biggio play, and you're like he's really good and he's helping the Astros win, but like is he that caliber of is he on the same level as Babe Ruth? You know, the guys you think of that are like surefire, no doubt,
Hmm.
absolute Hall of Famers. So this is the thing. It makes it fun to debate,
Yeah.
I get annoyed with the debate every year.
Yeah, because you're talking about what some random person just thought up on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah, and like so the Ichiro thing. So I don't know who didn't vote for Ichiro, and I think most people are like, oh, most people assume that person had something against Ichiro. I don't know, something um, that, or they're just like a nobody gets on the first ballot, which is dumb because you've had Mariano Rivera.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't be in the hall, but to be the first unanimous was Mariano Rivera. Like, please.
Hmm.
um, but when you have big Hall of Fame guys and you have small Hall of Fame guys or writers, not guys,
Hmm.
writers. Big Hall people that want to put more people on the ballot say, look, Ichiro's getting in. Why waste a vote on Ichiro when I've got 10 other people that I want to vote for?
Hmm.
And that would be, I don't know if that's what they did, but that's another interpretation that's just as legitimate based on the way the rules are written right now. So anyway, just throw it out there. So let's shift gears just a bit because this annoying thing is going to happen again
Hmm.
for 2026, and
Yeah.
I want to screen share here. Pull up.
Hmm.
I'm going to pull up the 2026, the people who are coming onto the ballot for the first time. And Adam, maybe you could, while I'm doing this,
Hmm.
you can pull up the list of the people who will be back on the ballot. All right, so folks, here is the list of people, players who are going to be on the ballot for the first time in 2026. In case you can't read it, it's Ryan Braun, Shin Soo Chu, Edwin Encarnacion, Gio Gonzalez, Alex Gordon, Cole Hamels, Matt Kemp, Howie Kendrick, Nick Markakis, Daniel Murphy, Hunter Pence, Rick Porcello, and Neil Walker. Okay, Adam,
Yeah.
how many of these guys are Hall of Famers? Tell me, please.
Off the top of my head, I don't know that any of them
I
make it
know. Yeah,
in my brain. Certainly
that.
not first ballot.
Yeah, I looked at this list and I looked up some stats on like Hamels and Braun. Um, of this list, I think Hamels has the best shot.
Hmm.
But to your point, I looked at this list and I went, no, none of these guys are Hall of Famers. None of them. Not Cole Hamels. Is as good as he was. To me, Cole Hamels is very similar to Felix. Like he was really good for that period of time, and then he kind of disappeared. He was
Hmm.
gone. I don't know how you could put Cole Hamels in and leave Felix out. Their stats are actually fairly similar. Hamels had um, more wins because he played on a better team.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and looking at some of the players who didn't make the cut this year, who might be on the cusp, we've got Carlos Beltran, who got 70%,
Mm-hmm.
um, Andrew Jones, 66%, Chase Utley, 40%, and then it drops off pretty dramatically from there.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, I just did a quick little chat on Beltran and Utley.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Statistically, Beltron's a better player than Biggio,
Mm-hmm.
and Utley is kind of right there.
Okay.
Just they didn't get the like Utley is way off of the 3,000 hits. He
Yes. Yeah.
1885.
Mm-hmm.
Beltran 27-25, but 435 home run,
Mm-hmm.
almost 1,600 RBI. Uh, you know, so
Yeah. See, yeah, it's interesting. Chase Utley, like to me, I'm probably a no on Chase Utley just from watching. You know, I don't know all his stats. Beltron, probably he's a fringer.
yeah,
To me, Andrew Jones is no doubt, and
yeah,
it's because he his 10 he to me he was. I'm not saying he was as good as Griffey, but he was what Griffey was in center field, a right-handed version, 10 years, Gold Glove every year, power, speed. Like he was what Griffey was. And Griffey had was able to put it together longer and make his career last, where Jones really fell off a cliff. Um, but to me, Andrew Jones was for 10 years was the same guy as Griffey, basically.
yeah. He was, but I think like if he doesn't make it, it's the sort of longevity piece. He played for 17 years, but he was his like productivity fell off pretty quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
he's had he reached 500 home runs, and he got pretty close. He's at 434, but had he
Mm-hmm.
reached 500 home runs, I think that's a no doubter there.
Yeah, and that's that longevity piece where
Hmm.
had he been a bit more productive for a while, like Griffey was, then he would have got there. But yeah, I feel like the cliff sort of hurts Andrew Jones because, but for they tend to look at were you like one of the top players in the league for 10 years is kind of what they look at.
Hmm.
He was. He was. He was
Yeah.
absolutely unquestionable. Like he was probably the best center fielder defensively, and he was an offensive force. Like I don't how you look you say 10 years. He has that in his resume. I don't see. And Beltron, I think he does. I mean, I think he wasn't at the elite level that Andrew Jones was for that period of time. He was just really good for like I think he's really good. I don't know. He was good. He was really good.
Hmm.
I feel like when I think of Andrew Jones, and maybe it's just because the highlights on Sports Center or whatever, but he was elite. He was an elite player.
Well, I'm sure we could go many more rounds on Hall of Fame, who makes the cut, who doesn't. But we're going to
Mm-hmm.
wrap things up with a pack rip
Mm-hmm.
with a
Let's
little
go.
Easter egg hunt here. And
Yeah.
if you can't guess, we're hunting Hall of Famers. So let's
This,
see.
this is a Hall of Fame discussion that I will not be annoyed by.
Yeah, I want to go with my largest pack here, so we have the most opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
get more Hall of Famers here because we're for right now we're big
Mm-hmm.
Hall. We're big Hall.
Or big call. Hey, I want to say, I went to a new card shop
Okay.
here over the weekend. I took my
Yeah.
son um, down in the Denver area.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't good. It wasn't great.
Oh,
Not
that's
great.
too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it had some singles and some stuff, but look, I mean, the places that we went to, the variety of not just cards but memorabilia, bro, man, I just walked in there. I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry. It just we found some cards. We
Yeah.
found a couple. I'm not usually like a singles guy, but when you don't have packs and you ain't gonna drive 45 minutes to go to some other shop, you get singles. And
Yeah.
we got some good ones. We got some Julios, fun Harry Ford, got them for the kids. And so anyway, I just want to say we went on an adventure and it was sufficient but not great.
It's hard to find a really good shop. I'm fortunate to have a couple good ones up here
Mm-hmm.
to get some stuff. 3 of them actually that I enjoy visiting. Okay, so on our hunt, we're going Leaf 91.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so these are older Hall of Famers. I was going to go a newer set, but it's too new.
Yeah, you can't go because
Yeah.
you don't. Yeah, no, you can't go new. I was thinking this would be perfect. I have a jumbo pack of Donruss 91 that I've been saving. Could have been, but
Could have been. Yeah.
Leaf. I don't have it, so it's not what we're
Yes.
doing.
So here we go. We're starting out with the shiny Harmon Killebrew.
Harmon Killebrew.
Um, all right. Oh, we got to starting out with a
Mm-hmm.
Leaf Gold rookies. Reggie Sanders, not a Hall of
Mm-hmm.
Famer,
Mm-hmm.
but a fun card. Tim Leary,
Mm. Nope.
nope. Kirk McCaskill,
Mm. Oh boy.
Paul Merrick,
Mm-hmm.
no. David Cohn,
Oh, Hall of really good.
yeah. Frank Viola.
Mm. Other.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
We hit one.
Tom Glavine.
Okay, there we go. Tom Glavine.
Okay, and then we're going more Hall of Good. Dwight
Do I get?
Gooden,
Mm-hmm.
Greg Olson,
Mm-hmm.
Sean Bosky, Charlie Hayes.
Hmm.
Okay, and here we go. Here we go. Number 2, Ryan Sandberg.
Oh, well, Inland Northwest product right there.
Yeah. Jose De Jesus. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna finish it out fittingly for our
Mm-hmm.
show.
Ichiro.
Controversy.
Oh god. Okay.
Barry
Bond. Oh
Lamar
man.
Bonds.
Bonds. Let's go. Man,
Should
that's a good pack for
yeah.
back. If you open that sucker in 91, is
Yeah.
91? Is that what it was?
91. You're feeling good about yourself.
Not only that, I was just thinking about those 3 Mets pitchers: Cone, Viola, Gooden.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, talk about a rotation.
Yeah.
So, but not, I mean, none of those guys in the Hall, but those guys were tough
Yeah.
back in those days. Yeah, I mean, you're right. The Hall of Controversy, Barry Bonds. On the, I will say on the new side. So, my son opened a pack of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Was hot, bro. Future Hall of Famers all
Okay.
around. Shohei, Bobby Witt, Mookie, Freddie
That's a
was
great pack.
was smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for opening a pack. 3, well, what? 2? Yeah, 2 actually in the Hall.
Yeah.
A third that, I mean, it's unfortunate. I think he would have been a
Mm-hmm.
shoe in without the steroids. Shoe in.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So, well, folks, thanks for hanging with us. A little Hall of Fame debate. If you feel like rambling some debate, put it down below in the comments. We'd love to hear from you at all times and on all things baseball. So thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you next time.